Hartman, who actually just transferred to Notre Dame from Wake Forest. And this one was a little odd. So I remember you looked up the numbers. You're like, wow, he had a great 2021 season. Why didn't he just declare for the draft then? And we kind of discussed that. And I think we came up with maybe it might have been that, he was worried about the competition or whatever draft grade he was being given wasn't like what he wanted. Maybe transferring to Notre Dame was his attempt to, play a higher level competition, maybe raise his draft stock. So we actually went through and we broke down his 2021 Wake Forest tape. And this is kind of what we took from it. We saw that he was high character guy, and you know that from the show you watched, which was, what was that show again?
I think it's called QB1, or I think it's QB1 on Netflix. I think he was on the
QB1.
second. Yeah, QB1
okay,
or like Q1, one of those things. It's the same show that actually Justin Fields was on too in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shout out QB1 or Q1, whatever it is. Go check it out on Netflix. Great show, great way to get some inside scoop to some of these guys. But watching Sam Hartman, it was kind of tough, I think, at first to really get a good feel for him because the competition was so bad. I mean, there was times we were just sitting here watching. I was like, what the are they doing? Is this a play?
Yeah.
Did they know the play started? Eventually, we were able to get some like Clemson games and some, who was it? I think
they played like Florida State.
Yeah, the Florida State one, which again was really funny. Go watch the highlight tape for that from the ACC network. There's one play where Florida State just takes their whole D-line, just overloads them to one side. They leave 11, who I believe we said was Jermaine Johnson, the draft pick for the Jets. Now they just left him on a freaking island and like, this is a football play, I think.
Yeah, it was like ISO. It was literally the football version of like ISO. Like, hey, this is one-on-one right here. Let's get it.
It's one-on-one. You better win this. All right, sorry, we got to get into the breakdown. So Sam Hartman, we felt he had a great pocket presence. We felt his ability to just maneuver around the pocket with just those subtle little, here, there, stepping ups, was probably one of his stronger aspects. He has a good arm, not a rocket arm. So he has the arm to get it done, but don't expect him to sit here and just huck this ball 80 yards on the line. He's not a Justin Herbert arm. He's not a Josh Allen arm, but he's got a good enough arm to make the throws, which is what you want. Good accuracy. There's a lot of times we were watching, and I remember back shoulder fades were like, that's for people that don't know, back shoulder fades is a very tough throw to do. So essentially what happens is on the fade route, the receiver has to make a decision about mid route. He's either going to be able to get on the guy, stack the DB and take off, and the quarterback has to read that and throw him deep. Or the receiver has to make the determination, I'm not winning this, I'm going to throttle down. And the quarterback has to make the same determination. You then give the quarterback your head, give him your chest, and the quarterback's supposed to throw it right at the back of your head. If done properly, it's an uncoverable ball.
It really is.
Sam Hartman throws an uncoverable ball on that. Every time we watched it, it's perfect, right where it needs to be. There wasn't even a chance for the DB to make a play on it. It wasn't like, this was kind of close. Never once. So great accuracy, and he also has a lot of experience. I think you've been mentioning he's been starting in games since 2018.
Yeah.
So by the time he actually gets to the NFL, he should have like 5 years of college football experience. So incoming those, he'll be 24 when drafted jokes, just like what he had with Stenson. He seemed like a very natural thrower of the football. And what we mean by that is there's a lot of times when you watch it, even off platform or not in the best, throwing base, where it still had a good tight spiral. It just seemed to come out of the hand normally. Very calm in the pocket, never seemed phased by pressure, was willing to always throw the ball in the face of the defender coming up to kill him. And we actually have him as a middle tiers starter to a low end starter. We'd probably put him as a 4th round grade. And we're actually kind of curious, again, more interested like what happened in 2022, because we weren't sure if he got injured, we weren't sure if he got benched, we weren't sure what happened. But the numbers, he hasn't really gotten any buzz at all. Like we haven't heard any huge of, Notre Dame's going to be in the college football playoffs because of Sam Hartman.
What's also odd is he wasn't even ranked in that PFF article either.
Yeah.
He wasn't ranked, at least in the top 10.
No, that's right. You had to remember, by the way, we talked about this guy.
Yeah. He missed the first game of 2022 because of his ribs. And maybe that kind of bothered him throughout the season. If I do remember correctly, he had about 500 yards less passing than he compared to 2021 and 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was a part of it. But from those highlights, I mean, he was still dialing them up. And the best thing I love about him is, dude, he is so calm in that pocket. Like even when he's just moving around the pocket, like he's not
Mm-hmm.
phased at all. You can tell he's just sliding through smooth, smooth. If he has to bail, he does. If not, he just steps up, finds someone over the middle. So yeah,
Yeah,
to
you're
your
never watching him
point,
bail. You're never watching him run out of the pocket and thinking, "Why does this guy keep running?" Like
yeah,
whenever he's running, you're like, "Oh yeah, there's a reason."
there's no like
Uh,
panic. I love that.
right, never. The thing we kind of noticed because then we were then curious, like what happened in 2022 to maybe take off some of this conversation about him. We did notice his completion percentage actually jumped. I think it was 5 percentage points. It went from 58% in 2021 and it jumped to 63% in 2022. But as people were watching the 2022 highlights, we noticed there was a lot more balls when we were like, "Oh, that should have been picked. Oh, that one. What? Why didn't the DB get his head around there?" So I think what we kind of made the determination on was that the biggest difference between the two seasons is he made more what I think PFF calls it turnover worthy plays.
Oh sure.
There's a lot of balls that were put into like some tight windows that could have gone either way. And against the game against Clemson that we watched, which I think he had all 5 or 6 of his touchdowns were like that. They were like, that's a pretty risky throw there. He made it, obviously, and it worked out in his favor. But then we watched some other games. I think it was Louisville and
North Carolina State.
North Carolina State, where he actually had 3 interceptions each. So obviously it wasn't going his way. Now that could be because of an overestimation of his arm strength. So that might get more risky when he gets to the NFL level because those guys obviously move faster, they respond quicker, they're set up at different positions. But if he can get that reined in and get a little bit better understanding of where his arm strength is and throw with a little more anticipation, we should see those interceptions go down, and that should help his overall play. We said his best traits, though, are his pocket presence, his accuracy, and his back shoulder throws. Just want to include this out as a huge shout out from what we noticed from watching Wake Forest, which we watched about 15 to 20 minutes of it today. Are they the untalked about O-line U? I mean, those dudes, it rarely seemed like Sam Hartman had a whole lot of pressure in his face, even against like a Clemson.
Yeah.
And I don't know the guy's name. We didn't look it up. 59, right guard, Wake Forest, stud. I mean, he was just stonewalling dudes.
Yeah.
Like there was like I think it was against Clemson. One of the plays, I think it was like the defensive end was rushing. He just grabbed and picked him up and was like, "No, we're good. We're done here. This is the play. Yeah, just keep running your feet. That's fine. Oh, whistle. Okay, go back to your huddle."
For real.
Just,
Maybe that's the reason why Sam was so calm back there. He knew it. Like, I got the 5 best bodyguards out here.
I know. I was like, damn. I mean, I don't know about the whole line, but that one, like, every time we watched it, it just kept pulling my eyes to it. I was like, there is no one within 5 yards of this dude. Like, they were just shutting it down.
Dude, you remember that, like, weird RPO play?
Oh, yeah. They're like walking together.
And the O-line would just split like the field right down the middle. It was a 5-yard gap between the left side and the right side. And Sam pulled it and just threw those touchdown passes. But I feel like they would have been touchdown runs because the running back had a 5-yard hole just to run through. It's crazy.
Yeah. They were moving bodies. That O-line of Wake Forest was moving bodies. But I just want to give a quick shout out to them because they were, and usually it's like, oh, this receiver took my attention away. The quarterback, the O-line took my attention in that one. I mean, it was like, it was hard to make an evaluation of how does this guy deal with pressure. It just never seemed like he dealt with it.
Yeah.
But, so like I said, we have a 4th round grade on. We probably view him as like a mid-tier starter, low-end starter. We need to see how he does against higher competition, not like Norfolk State or whatever the hell he was playing.
Yeah.
That he'll be playing at Notre Dame. And hopefully he's able to continue to play at the level he's playing, get some of those, turnover worthy plays down, those, a little bit more of a better evaluation of what his arm strength is. So,
and again, I have to ask you the tough question. As of right now, who would you say is Sam Hartman's NFL comp?
Again, if we're comparing what his strengths are versus to an NFL quarterback's strengths are, to me, the most obvious comp is Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
It's the beard. No, I'm just kidding. No, they both got good beards, but or Kirk Cousins did when he was in Washington, actually. But either way, I digress on that. Both guys they're athletic enough. They're not going to take off running, but when they need to move out of the pocket, they don't look like they're going to fall over their own feet. They both throw a beautiful, accurate ball. It seemed very natural. Kirk Cousins his besides the joke video about the baby shower thing, he's a very accurate thrower, and he throws the back shoulder fade really well. The first incident that comes to mind when I think of Kirk Cousins is the playoff game he did win against New Orleans Saints a few years ago. I think it was Kyle Rudolph he hit on a back shoulder fade just right in the DB's face to win the game. So Kirk Cousins always seems comfortable in that pocket too. He always just knows those little movements he needs to make, whether that's up, that's back, getting away to the left, getting away to the right, whatever it is, to just be able to stay in the pocket and deliver the throw where it needs to be. So to me, that seems like the logical. They'll probably both be 4th-round picks. I think if Stan Hartman will probably come in as a backup, and then if he's ever given the opportunity to start, I don't think he'll ever let those reins go, and that'll just be your franchise quarterback. And then in 10 years, we'll be having arguments about, well, Sam Hartman's just mid. So
yeah. I hate when people say that about Kirk. After watching, it's a weird random tangent. But the newest like documentary that came out that Peyton Manning and his production company created called Quarterback. I'm not sure if you watched that.
I watched the first 2 episodes of it. So
I'm a big Kirk guy now. Honestly, I was watching the behind the scenes. I know he's in the division of my favorite team, so I do see him twice a year. But I don't watch Viking games like that. But he's actually pretty good. And after seeing people just talk about him like social media, it's like, oh, he's mid, blah blah blah. No, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's when people sit here and say that mid, I mean, he's still a top 15 quarterback. Yeah. I wouldn't put him in top 10, but he's a top 15 quarterback. That means there are 15 or 16 or 17 teams that have a worse quarterback than him. Yeah. There's 17 teams that wish they had a Kirk Cousins. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of one of the things you really need to keep in perspective when you're looking at these quarterback tiers of how much of a drop-off it is really from, the top 10 versus that 10 to 15 range to that 15 to 20 range. The difference could be, Mac Jones versus Kirk Cousins. And there is a significant difference between those two players. It doesn't seem like it, but there is a significant difference. And it's the little things that they do that you don't ever really see or hear unless you watch that quarterback's documentary. And they actually get a chance to really talk about what they saw, what they did differently, what changes they helped implement. So we fortunately have had, been in a position to where we get to see it in practice behind the scenes with, not NFL quarterbacks, but to understand what quarterbacks really need to go through and do and how like nuanced the position is. Dude. So
playing quarterback is hell. I don't know why anyone would want to do that after watching that documentary. I don't know who would want to do that stuff.
I know. It's insane. To be able to process all that information. Because, again, what's the average play again? 3 seconds?
3 seconds,
yeah. To be able to process all that information, 11 dudes, 21 dudes running around doing different things to take that all in 3 seconds and know what to do. Yeah. That's insane.